What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Beyond the Multiverse. The Kenobi Show has finally come out, and today we're going to break down and discuss these first two episodes that they gave us. I'm reading these notes that I have that I wrote here just after watching the episodes. Huge spoilers if you haven't seen the show, so let's get started. I'll start by saying that I really am enjoying the show right now. The episodes have really taken on a fast pace, really. Even the first episode, which is a lot of groundwork for the state that Obi-Wan is in right now, I think that it still even has points in the show where it doesn't really waste any time at all to show you that groundwork, that he is broken and he is lost and he is missing the life that he had before. All right, so let's talk about some interesting points that happened throughout the two episodes. I'm not going to go scene by scene and retell you what happened in the episodes because you probably just got finished watching it, at least in the past day or two, so I'm not going to be going through every scene. To start off, the recap of the prequel trilogy I thought was amazing. I had goosebumps the whole time watching. It even took me a while to realize that it was just a recap of the first three films and not like Obi-Wan's memories, like his personal memories that he's remembering right now and reminiscing. We see Obi-Wan as a Padawan on Naboo, and then losing Qui-Gon right in front of him. We see the events of Mustafar. We see him being at the birth of Luke and Leia with Padme. But even more than that, we see his relationship with Anakin and the good parts. We see Anakin laughing as they're during that chase scene at the beginning of episode 2. We see them smiling the last time they see each other, both in the light side. It really tugs at the heartstrings for everybody watching. I know it tugged on mine for sure. The Order 66 scene was another great addition to the many angles we have now of that event. Whoever that master was protecting the younglings was freaking awesome. She was a great fighter. Her swings of the lightsaber looked like super heavy, and they looked like they were dealing some real damage. And then not to mention that she kept swinging after she got shot in the torso, right, to protect the children. I think it's fairly obvious that Reva is one of those younglings. It's obvious to speculate, at least, that she's one of those younglings in that Order 66 scene. But her connection and like vendetta for Kenobi, I don't know yet. I mean, it hasn't been, not too much details has been given about that to speculate on that. The first episode really hits home that Obi-Wan has reluctantly settled into his new life on Tatooine as not this great Jedi master. He goes to work as a butcher, gathering the meat from that creature. He goes home, he talks to Tika, the Jawa. He buys and trades stuff with him. He doesn't really do much other than that. He goes and checks on Luke, and he just hangs out. Now, throughout this whole first episode, we see it in his demeanor and his face and the way he carries himself, how broken he is, how heartbroken he is over Anakin and over the life that he used to have with the Republic and with the Jedi Order that he no longer has. That whole world came crashing down 10 years ago, and he still hasn't recovered. And of course, all of that is materialized when he sleeps and he has the nightmares of all the horrible events that he's had to live through. Also, was anybody else super anxious when he was cutting up the fish to take to his like horse camel thing? I thought he was gonna get caught. Like, they showed it like 3 times, and I thought he was gonna get caught by his boss. I thought the Inquisitor's arrival on Tatooine was very effective and scary, and their scare tactics were really good. Like, Reva has the compelling like ultimatum: either you give up information on Jedi, or Owen and his whole family die, right? And then she chops off that lady's hand. You actually see it fall to the sand. It was of the streets. It was really cool. Moving off Tatooine, we get an in-depth live-action look at Alderaan, which I thought was beautiful. It looked great with that the city that they were in, and then of course we see young Princess Leia. I thought that casting was excellent. That young lady did a great job. She was really portrays that adventurous and sassy spirit. She absolutely destroys her cousin, and she shows that how wise she is beyond her years, just like her mother was. After she gets kidnapped, Bail talks to Obi-Wan asking him for help, and Obi-Wan refuses the call to action for a second time. The first being that night in the desert when that other Jedi came and asked for help, and he's like, what happened to you? So Obi-Wan refuses the call to action the second time, which really shows, and he says that I'm not the man that I used to be, right? And I think that really shows again, just how broken he is. And he's also not using the Force at all. He's like, his connection is really damaged and severed because he's been out of practice so long. We see multiple times throughout the first and second episode how he tries to talk to Qui-Gon and he can't get anywhere with it. Overall, for me, this episode is an easy 9 out of 10. It's perfect groundwork to show how Obi-Wan's life is so tragic and how many things he's had to gone through, and the whole time not ever going to the dark side. Moving on to episode 2, Obi-Wan goes to Daiyu, where he's looking for Leia, and we see how much of a just shady, dark, bottom feeder world this is. Like, way worse than the lower levels of Coruscant. That girl that tries to sell him the girl that tries to sell him the spice, right? She's like, I used to be somebody's daughter too. Take some of this and you'll forget all about her. Like, that's just, it makes you so uncomfortable, and like, Obi-Wan doesn't belong there, but he has this mission to do. We see a 501st clone veteran begging for credits in the street, which I'm sure tugged on all of your heartstrings just as it did mine. We definitely see it tug on Obi-Wan's heartstrings. Just, again, another relic of the life he used to have. Kumail Nanjiani's character actually turned out to be a fake Jedi scammer, using fake Force powers to trick people for credits, but then towards the end of the episode he turns a new leaf and actually helps Obi-Wan, which I thought was cool, and it makes me wonder if we'll see him again throughout the show. Obi-Wan finds and rescues Leia, and they after maneuvering through the planet a little bit, they go and they're in that alleyway, right, and they're kind of just resting for a second, and they actually start to have some really nice dialogue between the two of them. And I'm watching, and I'm thinking, wow, he's really talking to Obi-Wan or Anakin's daughter. Like, what? There must be so many things going through Obi-Wan's mind, talking to his best friend, his brother's daughter. Leia loses trust in Obi-Wan after seeing the wanted posters of him on the bounty pucks, and then they have to go through this little chase scene, which, I mean, to me, it lost me a little bit. It was just kind of boring, and I thought it was annoying that she lost trust in him. It's this little kid, but I mean, again, it's a little kid, so what is she supposed to do, right? But I think it also, while it was annoying at the time of watching it, looking back, I actually really like it, because we have this new like bond and trust between Leia and Obi-Wan that wasn't there before, and it makes A New Hope so much cooler when she sends the hologram asking him for help, because they've gone through this. They have that trust and they have that bond between the two of them. Furthermore, at the end of the chase scene, she's falling between those two buildings, and Obi-Wan uses the Force to break her fall and save her. And we see that he's really struggling to use his Force powers, right? He's really struggling just to levitate this 10-year-old. And it shows how long he's been out of the game and how long like his connection to the Force has been damaged and severed, and it's weak. But he does save her, and he can call on the Force when he needs to, and I think it proves to him that he can still do that. It's similar to how Thor realizes he's still worthy in Endgame when he calls Mjolnir to him. That's similar to this scene with Obi-Wan. Okay, so we need to talk about Reva. I think that she's portraying Moses Ingram, the actor. I think she's portraying it really well. She's doing a great job being confrontational and aggressive and impulsive, especially compared to the other Inquisitors. But her killing or stabbing, fatally wounding the Grand Inquisitor, it just doesn't make sense, right? Not only, if he is dead, it will ignite a war between the fans and Lucasfilm, because that would be the most biggest and blatant retcon we've gotten. I mean, they've retconned like the comics or the video games before all the time, right? But to retcon an entire series or season of Rebels, it won't be good. So that being said, I don't think the Grand Inquisitor is dead. They're gonna find some way to heal him up. I think all of us agree that there was no way that the Grand Inquisitor would let that happen. He would sense the turn against him. He would sense her actions about to stab him, but this is going to be a drum that's going to be beaten by the fans probably throughout the whole series, so I'm not going to stay on it too much. It just we'll see how they tie up that loose end, how they heal the Grand Inquisitor, because there's no way he's actually dead. Now, Reva reveals to Obi-Wan that Anakin is still alive, and Obi-Wan, all these memories and confusion and probably fear is just flooding into his mind, right? He realizes that the Anakin he left on Mustafar, burnt up and chopped up, is out there, and he's still living that life that Obi-Wan left for him. He boards the ship with Leia, they're escaping, and he's still completely floored by this new revelation that Reva gave him. He's just completely staring forward, just confused, all these emotions running through him. Leia asks him what's wrong, and he just whispers Anakin's name. And it cuts to Vader hanging in the back of the tank, right, and his eyes open. Now, what do you guys think? Do you think that Anakin sensed Obi-Wan calling out to Anakin through the Force, or do you think it's just unrelated, just cutting to a different scene to get us excited? Either way, I did get super excited. That was crazy. I can't believe we're seeing this in a live action show. Overall, this episode, I'd give a solid 7.5 out of 10. There was a lot of things, not a lot of things, but there was some things wrong with it. It wasn't as good as the first one. Definitely without that ending, it would have been even lower, but the ending does bring it up quite a bit. And there was a lot of stuff, even about the bad parts, especially the trust with Leia and Obi-Wan, that elevate other things, even though if it's kind of just boring right now. And that connection between Leia and Obi-Wan, it's more than just an Easter egg or a cameo that kind of like, oh, that's cool, they're talking about this from this movie. It's more than that. It's this new relationship and a new trust and bond between Obi-Wan and Leia that wasn't there before, that totally elevates her call for help to him in A New Hope. And not to mention the last 2 minutes or so with Anakin and Obi-Wan, just chef's kiss, really good. All the stuff that was set up in the first episode with Obi-Wan's grief and brokenness has been at the same time come crashing down, and then also like reignited or strengthened. That fire that poured gasoline on that fire, right? A couple of quick comments, somewhat related to the show, but not the story itself. Why do you guys think they released it early? It came out like 3 hours early. I was watching Revenge of the Sith, getting ready to watch this show. I finished it. I was about to go to bed to catch a couple hours of sleep before the show came out. I got on my phone and saw that they were releasing it early. And I don't know about you guys, but for me, it like my mind got into gear, right? It's like, it's go time. Like it was like 20 minutes before it was coming out, I saw the post, and it just kicked my hype level skyrocket. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it did cause a lot of problems with like especially YouTubers who do watch parties with their communities. All of a sudden, you know, there's people, either A, the YouTubers missed the announcement and didn't get to do a watch party, or B, some of the viewers didn't see the announcement and they missed the watch party. So it kind of caused some confusion. I'm sure people lost money over this, but for me personally, it was very exciting, and also made it easier to write these notes. Secondly, I think we need to take a moment and just think about what just happened, right? We are alive in this point in time on this earth to witness this and be a part of this community, no matter how divided it is. But we get to watch this Kenobi show as it comes out, right? Imagine the earth is so old and you were born at this point in time to watch this show with the rest of these people who are just like you, who are super excited. And it's a really beautiful thing that we get to be a part of that, and that Ewan and Hayden are back on screen. Like I said, I was watching Revenge of the Sith just before watching these 2 episodes, and it's just so beautiful that they're back together again, especially with all they went through when the prequels were coming out and the amount of hate it got. Of course, they doing press for this, they realize how much they're loved nowadays, and that's really great. And it's really great to see them together again on screen, and just taking everybody back, like 17 years to when those movies were coming out. So it's a really beautiful thing, and I think we need to be grateful for that. I'm very excited for where the show is going. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Be sure to like and subscribe for more nerdy content, and also be sure to check out Tuesday Multiverse News broadcast. We have some really juicy stories going on over there. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you have a great day.